talk a little bit about like, your typical interaction, like clients call you and you could keep it specific to Barndos if you want to, but you don't have to. Cause I mean, at the end of the day, you're selling them this kit, what they do with it, it's kind of their thing. But like, what does that process look like typically when people are calling you? Cause I know for everybody has a great idea,
right?
But they have no idea. They don't know how to start. And so like, what does that look like when someone calls Worldwide Steel?
It probably looks a lot similar for us as it does for you, but I think what it looks like is somebody comes with an idea. They're seeing things about barndominiums. They're hearing about it. I know that like the local county where we sell our buildings and even mentioned that barndominiums are now 33% of the home projects permits pulled. Wow. So it's definitely increasing everywhere, and it's not just where we're at, it's across the country. Yep. So it's a nationwide thing. So somebody comes with an idea and they don't know how to put that into action or what it costs or any of the ins and outs, or sometimes they don't even know that they're actually going to be living in a barndominium.
Right.
But, you walk them through the process. Anytime you can get hands-on with somebody or get them in front of you, it goes a long ways with helping them understand the product and what they're getting. Most of their end goals are a lot of square footage for a lower amount of money and big open concepts and things like that. So I just walk them through the process, listen to, what it is that they are telling me that they want, and tailor what we have to offer them with what they want and try to make connections for them as far as getting buildings put up,
right?
Having a builder, getting concrete done, and we handle a lot of the engineering for all the structures and the foundations. And
so the engineering piece is always fascinating to me because, you guys are selling these kits and you're sending them out as a unit to be installed. So, we have this discussion a lot with clients. So if you're in our build area, we handle engineering. So you come in and you do your onboarding, you get involved, and then once you get to the point where your deal is going into funding and finance and all that kind of stuff, then we start working on the engineering. And so we're engineering that set of drawings to the system in which we're going to build it. And each one's different. Each one presents its own obstacles. Like we have our traditional post-frame hybrid that's probably 90% of what we do. We've built a multitude of ways. We've done some stuff with engineered wood trusses. We've done conventional framing, but our typical barndominium is that hybrid. And so when we engineer it, we go to an outside third-party engineer and we say, hey, look, here's the trusses we're using. Those are fully engineered. And then they take those components and then we say, hey, this is the way we, build the actual building. And then they run all the calculations based on eave height and all the, whatever's in that municipality so that it meets or exceeds all of their expectations. And then we roll that out. And then with you guys, where I guess some of this gets lost in translation, I've talked about this on several episodes, is people started hitting us up and they wanted to buy the floor plans, right? So you can go on our website, you can buy our floor plan, and then people, have the option to get it stamped, like a full set of superset engineered drawings. But I think there's so many misconceptions about that because when you're engineering, you're not engineering the building plan, you're engineering the way it's built. And so a lot of times, like we'll have people that buy a plan in Texas or they bought a plan in Florida and they want to get the engineering done. And I tell them, hey, it's super important that you know the way that it's going to be constructed, because someone could easily buy our plan, live in Missouri, and reach out to you guys and say, hey, I want to build it with a Worldwide Steel kit. And the engineering is going to be completely different. Yeah. So we're always pushing people not to just buy into this idea of like buying a stamp plan, because if it's stamped, then it has to be constructed by those means. And if your builder can't build it to that, then you're kind of stuck in limbo here, or you maybe wasted money. But like your kits and stuff that you guys put together, you're engineering that thing as a system above concrete, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So the building itself has been engineered to hold the loads and everything. Walk through that process a little bit. So like somebody comes in and, they're just wanting to buy a 30 by 100 building. That's one thing. But if they come to you with a set of plans and now you're tasked with putting all the components together to build it the way the drawings show it, walk through that process a little bit, what that looks like how y'all piece that together.
I'll take this one.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, so essentially when somebody comes to us with a set of stamp plans, it's not the best case scenario. Right. So I'm going to encourage everybody that I talk to early on in the process, decide what product you're going to use, whether that be us, you guys, or anybody else that's in the industry. Decide what product you're going to use and go out there and tailor your plans to that.
Yep.
And so a set of floor plans are great. I think you can go out there and find them in a lot of different locations, but maybe even prior to paying for something like that or purchasing, I would encourage them to do some research on the structure that they're going to choose to go with. So what we're going to do is basically take a set of plans that somebody brings us and lay out our structure, our structural components, the way that we lay them out, with some accommodations to the floor plans and plans that they have, and tailor them as much to their plans as possible. They're never going to be exactly right.
That's right.
So once we get all that aligned, and we can say then, hey, now let's get the floor plan set according to our structure. And depending on where you're at in the country, you may need them stamped or you may not need them stamped.
Yep.
So we've actually got, there's a couple of drafters that we work with. A lot of customers think they have to go to the architect and get this architectural set of drawings and bring them to you. And in general, that's going to cost quite a bit of money to go get an architect to do that. So we've got some drafters that we work with that know our systems and where our columns go and where they can't go, how far we can span, that type of thing. And so we really try to encourage our customers to work with one of those drafters to lay out their building to try to help save them some money, when they're going to that architect.
Well, that's the same here. So like we have people all the time bring us stuff and like, hey, we bought these plans and we want to build it. And I'm like, okay, well, there's a couple things that go into that. One is I'm going to have to redraw this, not to sell to you or to, like recreate the drawing. You bought it. I can build it, but I've got to make sure that the way we're going to assemble it, everything works. Because there may be a window that has to be shrunk or moved or relocated, or a door has to be positioned in a different way. Yeah. There's going to be something that is different from what you purchased versus what I'm doing. And we know that to be true. And so that's good advice. All the time we have people, and there's no shortage of people in all these Facebook groups and stuff that are like, I'll do your drawings for 10 cents a square foot, and then there's not a lot. There's no meat on that bone once it comes out. So
you see a lot of feedback where they're going, man, this guy charged me $2,000 to make a change or something like that. It's
just, some of our challenge in this scenario is that people a lot of times want to see what they're visualizing. So supplying them something does have some value, but at the same time, if you're doing that prior to picking out your structure, you're going to end up paying double or extra money to get things fixed. I mean, that's every day.
So walk through like a worldwide still. So if somebody's listening to this and they have no idea what you guys are offering, talk about your systems and all the different things that y'all do. Cause y'all have a lot of variety in how y'all can create a kit. But like just walk somebody through that process, give them a mile high view, or you can zoom in, give as much detail as you want, but just what do y'all offer?
I mean, in general, Worldwide's been around since 1983. In 2016, we went under new ownership. Jeff Snell purchased the company, and has grown the company, crazy from 2016 to last year. It's probably 6 or 7-fold as far as revenue goes, but so that's been a good change for us. Been something that's been very beneficial to everybody. But in general, we offer we call it a web truss building. We've got our roof beams or columns look kind of like trusses, like joists, laced webs, whatever you want to call them. So we've got a solution using the web truss, and then we've got a tube leg solution where you actually have a 6x6 tube that you can hide in the wall, which is really geared towards the barndominium type market. You'll still see the roof truss, but that's been pretty popular with customers lately. We do have an all steel option where we do a complete steel purlins and girts, which are your roof and your wall structurals that support the panels. And then we've got an option where we do a hybrid that you can use a wood, secondary wood purlin or girt. A lot of guys like that just because they're familiar with it, especially in the post frame business. We do a fair amount of business with post frame builders where we supply our red iron roof beam and column, and then they come in and frame everything out in wood.
Our trusses can be set up anywhere from 10 to 15 foot on center. So we accommodate a lot of different wall locations where we can place these trusses. So we put a live truss in the front of a building every 10 to 15 foot going down the building and finish with a live truss. So there's a structural truss from the front to the back of your building. Also, the secondary framing that connects all the trusses together is on 24-inch centers. And so being on 24-inch centers and laid on edge, it gives you a cavity to not only add insulation, run plumbing, electrical, whatever the case may be, but also gives you a member to finish your drywall or your finishing interior materials to from the inside. So it saves a lot of cost in framing of a barndominium, or if you're buying, for instance, a red iron building or a tubular style steel building, and then reframing all the structure walls and making sure, you have the engineering behind it to connect to these walls and all the things that come with that. Our trusses also give us a lot of flexibility in adding overhangs and porches and a lot of different customizable items with steel buildings, easy and very structurally strong. So
now I would say that the advantages of some of the systems that you guys have is you do have more clearance, right? So you can run a 15-foot truss spacing. Some things that you guys can do also, we were talking about it yesterday, was 100-foot spans and all these kind of things. Like, you can't do that with what we offer. And so that's what's intriguing about this is there's no right or wrong way, but I think the people are just not as educated about this because everyone has an opinion. And of course, your opinion is going to support what you offer. And so,
that's right.
Yeah, so, there's so many ways to do it. And a lot of people come to us and they're like, hey, we want to build a barndominium, it's all steel, right? And I'm like, well, it depends on what you want to call that. But what is your definition of all steel? Is they going to have steel siding and a steel roof? Absolutely. But you also have guys that are selling that and calling it a barndominium, and they're stick building it. And then you have the traditional post frame with wood trusses and all this kind of stuff. And then you have, like us with our hybrid, we're running a steel truss. Our spacing, we try to keep it typical to 8 foot. We can go 12. We can even go a 16 if we engineer it right. But typically it's every 8 feet. And we could do some weird things in accommodating, like with LVL headers and stuff to catch a truss, so we don't have to necessarily have a pole there. And those are things, because we don't build anything other than barndominiums. So it's like our system is specifically catered to one type of construction all the time. And so that's how we kind of arrived at what our standard protocol is. But it doesn't mean that there's not other ways to do it. And what's funny is a lot of guys want, I don't want a wood building. I want a steel building. And they're referring to like red iron structures. And you hit the nail on the head. Like, you're going to put that building up, and then you're going to build another building inside of that building out of wood.
That's right.
And then, you guys have your system, which is really like very similar to post frame, but a steel post frame. And the thing about it is like, we were talking about this yesterday. There's people that's what they want, and that's great. How do we get it to them? And then like, what are the other hurdles or things that they, to think about in that, like from a price perspective? Like, this building will accomplish what you're trying to do, but there may be an additional cost to doing it that way. So like I say, there's so many different ways to build someone's dream, right? And so my goal is to provide information to people so that they can be informed and make the decision that's best for them. Thanks, guys, for tuning in to the Barndo Show podcast. If you're watching on YouTube or wherever you're listening to this content, hit subscribe so you don't miss an episode. And then be sure to check us out on all of our social media platforms at the Barndo Co. Super simple to find us. And then when you're ready to dive in a little more, maybe look around some of our available floor plan options, or take a look at the gallery of our work, or maybe you're ready to connect with our team and explore what it looks like to build your dream barndominium, you can visit us online at thebarndoco.com.